Hey guys, welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we are going to create the tables into the databases. The two ways that you have to create your database tables. The first one here is you have to go to PHP MyAdmin where your database is saved. Okay, then here you have to create your database. And another one here is you have to write your PHP code or run your SQL queries or SQL queries. You can see here this is my PHP course, and here you need to run your queries or you have to create your databases. But we are focuses on the coding lecture, so that's why here you can see that I am just creating my database tables into that. To creating the database, there is a SQL query which is create table. Firstly, you can see here, I'm just telling you one another thing right here, where you can see that I'm just connecting my database to this table or this code. Here you can see that I'm just writing SQL MySQLi. This is MySQLi, and here after that here you can see that I have to write that firstly this is the local host, which is my host name. Then here this is the database name, database username, which is empty, and then here which is root, and then password here is an empty. Then here after that I have to write that this is PHP course, and then close this code right here. Hope so you understand now. You can also create like our old example. You can see that create database, so you have to also call these all, or you have to create these all variables and then create the connections like that. But this is very simple way to write your connection. So here you can see that I am just writing if statement, and if here you can see that $connection, and the connection here is equal to false or equal to true. So true will generate one another result and false will generate his own result. So here you can see that I just write die, and the die will generate an error right here. So error here is could not connect. Okay, now after that here you can see that I'm just concatenating $, and then connection here, and the connection here is equal to connect, and then connect underscore error right here. Okay, and let's close this code right here. Now here after this, this is if statement. So after that here I'm just creating my SQL table, and here you can see that I have to run the SQL command right here. How? You can see that I'm just creating the SQL table query, and here I just write this is SQL, and the SQL which is equal to, here I just write create table, and the table here is the name of, let's suppose I am just writing this is the human, and then this is the table name right here. And after this you can see here I have to write that firstly we have the ID, and the ID which is the integer type, and this is the integer type which is not null, and here the primary key. So what does this ID, not null, and primary key means? Here when you are creating the table, so you have to create the command and use this command right here, which is the create. Then you have to write your table, and then this is the table name which is human. Then here you can see that I just take ID which is integer, which means that firstly we have the ID, and the ID is not null, means that you cannot leave this ID as blank. Then here you can see that primary key. So when you are creating the database table, so there is an primary key. So primary key always be unique and not null, which means that every new ID have is on primary key, or every new name is on primary key right here. Then after that here you can see that I have to write that this is auto underscore increment. The increment here is, this means that auto underscore increments work like our increment operator, where your ID have 1. So after this one ID you have to write 1 plus 1, which is equal to 2. then 2 plus 1, which is equal to 3. So that will go like 4, 5, 6, and every new name has its own unique ID, which is the primary key. So primary keys always be unique and not null. Remember that. Then here you can see that after that I have to write comma, and then here I have to write that this is first name, and the first name which is equal to varchar, and here I just write this is varchar 30. You also create some of the text right here, so text is also using for that as well, but mostly here you have to use varchar. Okay, this varchar mean you have to create the variables character as well. Okay, now here after that I just said that this is also not null right here. Okay, and then here you can see that you have to also write that this is the last name, and the last name also here is varchar, and the varchar here is 30 or 255. This is up to you. You can write any of the varchar right here and not null. So this is just a limit of your this varchar right here. Then after that here you can see that I have to write that this is address, and the address also here is varchar, and varchar here is I just write 255, which is not null. Okay, and if you want to write, or if you want to keep this as, so this is not unique keys, so here I think so, yes. Okay, now here you can see that after that I just write email. Email is one another tables row here, and here I just write varchar. The varchar here is, you may say that this is 60, so only 60 characters that will take, and that will not null, and unique. So unique means every email here is unique, so no duplications is required right here. Okay, hope so you understand now. Now here you will see that after this I have to write semicolon to close this statement right here. Now here you can see that if $connection, and the connection which is equal to run the query right here, and the query here is, you have to see that this query is SQL, and that will equal to true. So simply you have to write your echo statement, and here I write table are successfully created. Okay, and then close this code right here. And now here I have to write echo, and the echo, sorry, this is the else statement, and the else statement here is I have to write this is echo, and the echo here is I have to write that error, you could not create tables, and that will create SQL. And here you have to see that I just write this is connection, and the connection here is error, so that will generate a connection error right here. Hope so you understand now that how we can run this tables data, and how we can create these tables into the PHP. Now here you can see that I run this create database, yes, create tables. So you can see here when I just run this, so the tables are successfully created right here. So when I just run this code, so you will see that, and I will refresh this, so you will find that we have the table human. And if I just explore this, so you can see here we have the columns. Firstly column here is address, then here we have the column is email, then here we have the column is first name, then this is ID, and this is last name. You can also check the indexing right here, indexing on the email, just because of the email is always be unique. And here you can see that indexing on the primary key, just because of that will check the primary key, which is always not null. And here you can see that yes, this is the table list. Here you can see that ID, first name, last name, address, and email as well. Hope so you understand now. Now if I just click on index right here, so here you can see that this is the key, what is the primary key right here, and that will also show me the key here, and this is the auto increment. Here you can see that I just set this ID as the auto increment and primary key, which is also not null. And you can see here then variable first name here is varchar, then last name is varchar 30, address is varchar 255, email is varchar 60, and that email is unique, so that's why that will with the key of unique right here. You can also check the relational views of that. So you can see here, this is a relational view, then this is a table structure, you already seen that. Or if you want to run this query right here, so simply click on that. So here you can see that I just copy this all code right here, and here you can see I have to run this code into that. So here you can see that I have to remove this, and now you can see that I'm just creating the table again for, let's suppose this is a table for like person, because this is human and person and these all are the same right here. When I just click on go, so you can see here my all keys are inserted right here, and there is another table which is person right here. Hope so you understand now that how we can create the tables into your database. If you find any of the problem regarding to this lecture, please let me know, and thanks for watching this lecture.